Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rebellious Ruth. And this evening, it's a topic that a lot of people are not really comfortable with, and we only think about it when usually at the end of our lives or people that we know later on in life. And I'm here this evening to talk to Tracy Bart, and very privileged and honored for her to share her journey with us as a cancer mom. So, Tracy, welcome. Thank you so much.
Hi, Ruth. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here again.
Thank you. Sure. So, yeah, this story has a positive ending. Thank God, just in case anyone's a bit nervous. But yes, let's begin. So, this was 2018. We have a short. Okay, let's do a little bit of a talk first, and then we'll show you the intro video. Okay, so how did it come up? Like, how did it start to happen? Like, what did you notice?
Okay, right. The first thing that we noticed was Ruben has ADHD. So he's very up and about. He's a very wriggly little worm, if you can call it that. So a week before his diagnosis, he became really a little, you know, introverted. He was a bit more soft-spoken, and he got tired a lot. And he started looking a bit pale. And we also noticed that he got bruises, and he didn't remember where they were from. Because usually if you get a significant bruise, you will always remember, oh, that's when I bumped into that, or this happened. And he had quite a few significant bruises on him. And then, let's say on the Friday, he was quite lethargic, and his legs started cramping really badly. And you think it's an 8-year-old boy, it must be growing pains. You give him some pain relief, very mild stuff, and then you just kind of hope for the best. But when your child actually wakes up in the middle of the night, just in agony, just my legs are aching. It's not, then you realize this is not a growth spurt or a growing pain. And then the Sunday, he was really quiet again and just, very lethargic. And by then his legs were really stiff. And I just said to my husband, listen, I'm keeping him home tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I can get an appointment with our general practitioner, our GP.
Mhm.
And luckily I got one the morning, and he immediately said, yeah, we've got quite a bit of a history with our GP. He's a fantastic guy. And he just said, yeah, just looking at Ruben, he can tell something's up. Let's just be over cautious, and we diagnose it from the top. We're not going to send him home with painkillers or whatever. We're going to start at the top and eliminate from the top. So we immediately went for blood tests, and we already made an appointment to see him the next day. And then the next day, we got the news. My husband was with me, and we took Ruben with as well. And you can just, a pin could drop. When our doctor said to us, listen, guys, this is serious. And then the look on Ruben's face, I will never forget. His eyes looked at me, and you can just see this fear setting over him. And then when doctor said, we've got leukemia, and it's for real, that talk about the wind out of your sails, rug under your feet. It is just, that is a moment I wish upon no one. That is harsh. That is as cruel as it gets. And then he said the night before he got the results already, and he already had made arrangements for us to go to Red Cross Children's Hospital in Cape Town. He's already liaised with the head of the oncology unit there, the professor, and the Wednesday we are going in. That's it. So that afternoon, it was just a mad dash, because we don't know what to expect. So it was a mad dash. So I had to go get his little brother at school. I had to phone my mom to tell her, your grandchild has got blood cancer. He's got leukemia, and it is serious. That was a very difficult phone call. The next few days is just a haze. Honestly, it's just a haze. But yeah, we happened to meet the right people at the right time. I think from being diagnosed to walking out of the hospital for the last time, everything and everyone just fell into place. It's amazing how it worked for us. It was just incredible. But let's have a look at that clip.
Okay. Well, it's a video you put together of the whole experience. So, yeah. Alrighty. TG? Wow. So, it's an amazing video, and it really shows so much. I'm sure there's not a dry eye in the audience at the moment. I know when I watched that the first time, couldn't really talk. And earlier we spoke about you. So now you realize this huge wave has hit you.
Yeah.
If I may ask, how? Because to me, I would just cry. How long?
Oh
Like
my
the
goodness, yeah.
feelings of.
Yeah, we cried for that first evening. We cried all the time. Because I mean, apart from not knowing what to expect, you don't even know which questions you have to ask. That's the big thing. I think every parent who goes through this kind of thing is, as overwhelming as it is, you actually really don't know what to ask. It is, yeah,
Just
you're dumbfounded.
completely overwhelming.
And now you still have to be strong for both your kids, because they feed on your energy. So that was quite something.
Mm.
The first night was just horrendous. We also had to break the news to friends and family, and then to just get ahead of any rumors that may be out there, because how it can just go
Yeah.
wrong. We decided to create. I made a Facebook post, and I said, "Listen, Ruben's being diagnosed with leukemia. We're not going to post any updates on Facebook, but if we've created a admin only WhatsApp group, if you want to be part of it, I can include your name on there or your number on there." And that's, I think, the way that we went. We decided to go because we didn't like the idea of his story being taken out of context and reshared and reposted, and then people taking advantage of his situation. So that's what we decided to do. So the first few days was just because we had to now all of a sudden figure out, okay, what do we take to hospital? What do we have to do with our medical aid? All those kind of things. It was just insane. We didn't know what to expect the next days, but once we got to Red Cross Children's Hospital, we just knew, okay, right, at the right place. The nurse that we initially met, she was just fantastic. I'm not sure of her name, but she will know who she is. She runs that ward like anything. She's amazing. Oh yes, she's a little drill sergeant. She's fantastic. So right, come here, and we were put in the day ward first because now we need to get a bone marrow test to see what exactly are we dealing with. So that was a bit frightening because now you hear lumbar punch and you're like, oh my goodness. You hear bone marrow, biopsy. It is what? Oh my goodness. But I must say, because it's a pediatric ward, they know what they're doing. They just they work with kids. They are just child orientated there and family orientated as well. So thank goodness.
And that's the Red Cross Children's Hospital in Cape Town. I just see someone's. Oh, apparently we've got a lag. Is it fine now? Sorry, guys. Yeah, lately, I see there are lots of comments. Laurie, Melissa, Nicolene, Cameron, Joking Atheist, Gordon Redall. I think that's one of your people.
Yeah.
Lisa Wolfhart.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Gordon. Gordon Riddell is his school's principal, and he was there from the word go. I mean, the support that we got from Ruben's school, and in particularly his teachers, they made us feel included. They took it upon themselves to educate the kids as well with regards to what cancer is and what is happening to Ruben. They explained it all so nicely to the kids so that the kids would not be fearful of it. Because if kids hear the word cancer, they think old people and death is inevitable. That's what children think of cancer. But they just handled it so fantastically. And big up to Mr. Riddell and to his school, Beaumont. Fantastic place.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Yeah, sure. It's so important to have the right people supporting you and your children.
Absolutely.
You also mentioned the children's reaction. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about Ruben. So his brother is Ruan, right?
Ruan,
Yeah.
yes, he's
And
2 years
he's
younger than
younger,
him. Yeah,
two
so
years
he was,
younger.
yeah, he was in grade R when his brother got sick, and he didn't know. I mean, it was quite overwhelming for him, but we kept both our kids in the loop with regards to what was going to happen, and as soon as we knew something, we would explain it to them in a way that they would understand, but we would never downplay it. We told Ruben from the start, listen, you are very sick, and it is very serious. So every day forward, it is going to be a battle. And the battle is to get back to being a healthy boy and getting you back to school and getting you to do all the little things that the boys get up to. We just want to have our child back and give him his childhood back. So we knew from the start that each and every one of us have got a part to play in this whole journey. We didn't know how long it was going to be. We didn't know what to expect forward, but we just knew that each of us had a part to play. And it is just, yeah, it's amazing how my two boys, they just, yeah, okay. And the remarkable thing is we were diagnosed in November, and we were actually planning to go to Australia to visit family in Melbourne, in Melbourne. And we had to break the news to the boys to say, listen, we can't go to Australia anymore, we are so sorry, this is what it is. And Ruben's reaction was, oh, this is all my fault, oh. But my youngest boy, Ruan, he just said, that's okay, Australia's going nowhere.
Like out of the wisdom of babes, like out of the mouths of babes, like really.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Um,
that was his attitude from the word go. Yeah, whatever
sure.
needs to be happen will happen, and we'll just,
And
soldier on.
and Emmy Degenaar says, one amazing woman and a precious family. So I agree, just discussing it over the last while. I would say, and I think telling the truth is so important, because I think not telling the truth and being in a dark space and not being able to, I do know there are, I don't know, I keep getting an error message here on my side, but hopefully things are holding. Sorry, guys. Um, so obviously being in the light, being in the truth, being able to discuss these things, I think, wow, well done, my lady. I think that's
Yeah,
really, that's huge. That's a way that I would love to. I mean, look, I can't put myself in your shoes. I don't think. I don't know. I mean, I had a mammogram last year, and they said to me, just wait in the spare room,
oh
like
yeah,
wait in the waiting room. And yeah, the heart started to pound a little faster.
it's an
And I thought, no,
excruciating.
I can't be finished now. Um, Still got
Yeah.
lots to do. But yeah, so your kids, I just want to find out, TG, has the video played about how you created that amazing nurturing atmosphere, kept things going in isolation? I
Oh
think with the bicycle. I love this video of you and Ruben sort of
yeah.
trying to keep each other busy. And
This is how we ride a bike in isolation ICU. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Go, Ruben! Go, Ruben! And break. And that's it. That is how we ride a bike.
we're working on it. What? Oh, is it finished? All right. Yeah, it's a little bit hard having the videos and the streams. But yeah, so you kept things. So Joking Atheist, and Tracy is open to lots of questions, and the Joking Atheist is always right there with everything that a question could possibly hold.
Yeah.
He asks, have they looked into cancer immunotherapy and its success in SA?
Yes, we
Um,
have. There's actually a really great pediatric immunotherapist pediatric allergist in Cape Town who specializes in immunotherapy, especially with children like Ruben. But it's quite a big thing to get going. But yeah, we have definitely looked into it, and we are seriously considering it. Yeah.
Okay. So when you say a pediatric allergist, is that an allergist would be like, I think allergy, but no?
Absolutely, you're quite right.
Oh,
It's a allergy specialist.
okay.
So yeah, you if you can't get rid of an allergy, they actually do extensive testing on you, and with immunotherapy they have this little, like a spray developed in, I think, Spain, is the place that they use. And then it's got all your reactors in there, and you start off light, and then you spray this in your mouth, and your body eventually, over time, and this process can take up to 2 years, over time your body builds natural resistance to whatever your reactors are. So Ruben is quite severely allergic to cats. We've got two. We had 2 cats. We've got 1 now. But he knows the rules now. If once he's played with the cats, he should go wash his hands. So he's okay with that. Some days are better than others, but he loves his cat. I mean, really, he loves his cat. Yeah.
Good. No, cats are very grounding, very awesome. So this was November 2018, and you told me it lasted till June, the treatment, him being in hospital from the last appointment. Yes. So we're talking what?
8 months.
8 months. Sure.
Yeah.
And your life literally had to, like.
Yeah, absolutely. But we also took it upon ourselves to, once we got over the initial shock of, our child is sick, we decided, and it wasn't even a discussion we had to have. We just saw this whole thing as a opportunity to not only educate others, but to kind of dismiss the fears that come along with it. We decided to keep friends honestly involved on our journey, and not sugarcoat anything. If Ruben has been throwing up 3 days, we let them know, listen, it's not going well. We didn't sugarcoat anything, but we did it in a way that wouldn't put people off of being involved, asking the right questions and those kind of things. We just knew that this was an opportunity, even though we were unsure of what laid ahead for us. We just saw it as an opportunity to educate and inform other people as well. So that was our attitude from the word go.
Sure, that is so powerful. I'm like really honored. Like, I just want to 1 second. All right. So, I mean, it's just for me, it's unfathomable, and I hold you in such high esteem. I'm just okay, fine. So everything's good on the technical side. Sorry, people. And then you mentioned the little man who saved Ruben's life.
Yes.
And that's another special light in your life.
Oh yes, absolutely. So when we got the test results back that Ruan was 100% match for Ruben, and that doesn't often happen. It happens, but I mean, for 100% match, that is just amazing. Incredible. That is half the battle won.
Sure.
And we told
Ruan is your second child, just so that everyone knows.
Yeah. So we said we didn't ever force Ruan to donate his stem cells. So we said to him, right, you've got the medicine inside you. Your body is amazing. Your body is creating this medicine that can bring your brother back home. And he just said, yeah, okay, I'm in. No argument, not asking what's going to happen to him or whatever. He just said, what do I have to do? And yeah, I think that was just amazing, that little guy, that he was just so courageous, and he had quite a journey ahead of him as well. So in order for him to create enough stem cells that that good stem cells that can be harvested and then transplanted into Reuben. He had to get for I think 5 or 7 days, he had to get an injection in his stomach to stimulate the white the stem cell growth so that enough can be harvested. And that is not fun for a little, grade 1 little guy, 7 years old, in the stomach. And I wasn't even home, so my husband was home with him, and my husband's got a very small heart, and he can't, he just couldn't do it. So we actually asked my sister, who's a ICU nurse, to just pop in the mornings, do the injection, and pop in the evenings and give him another jab. She hated it, but she knew she's doing the right thing. Making a child cry is never fun, but he understood it. Yeah.
And he just carried on. He never once wanted to pull out. What an amazing little boy.
Yeah, he was.
Sure.
He was
Oh, wow. And I hope so he's a hero, actually, if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, they both are. I mean, I used to I made these photos. So I take photos a lot, and I took photos of them holding this little, with the lettering on, and it says, "My brother's my hero," but who's hero? So that's kind of the little play on words there. So they both, when they're not, being regular brothers and regular boys, they do admire each other. I know that. But their boys will be boys. They squabble. They're just kids.
Yes. Shame Brett Sesams. Hello, Brett. Says that shame his mom passed from cancer in August last year. So yeah, it's hard. I know that I've also had friends who have not done well with it, and eventually succumb after many years of treatments. But again, joking atheist, and I know that he has got background in the medical fraternity or faculty. Fraternity. He wants to know, I think the secret is not to prepare for death and rather prepare for life. Attitude is far more effective when dealing with a family crisis such as these.
Absolutely. Yeah. We never once considered what life would be like without Reuben. That was never a consideration for us. We just kept it positive, and we never ever really, that was never an option for us. Never a consideration. That was. I also think that cancer is beaten in the way that you live. So even though cancer takes you in the end, it's how you lived that beats cancer eventually, I think. I think that's something that I recently had to deal with when a college friend of mine passed away, and she was more or less my age, also 2 kids. She had cancer and it didn't go her way, but the most amazing, kind-hearted person. So ironically that happened this week as well. But and she lived. I mean, she would beat cancer in a heartbeat, but her body just wasn't up for it.
No, it's almost like the good die young.
And cancer takes all the good ones, eh?
Apparently. Well, thank God. Well, your little angels, I'm sure they'll be just fine.
No, absolutely.
And you also suggested, so you went to the Red Cross Pediatric Children's Hospital in Cape Town, which is a government institution. And I saw the photos. I wouldn't have known. It just shows you the difference between a DA-run ward and a not DA-run ward. Sorry to say, because our government hospitals do not look like that. Not in the least.
When our GP suggested to us, listen, I'm sending you to Red Cross Hospital. That is the place you have to be at. I thought, oh my word, because you usually think there's, it's dirty, it's infested, it is a death trap. But when we walked in and we just saw what was going on in this place, it was just incredible. It was, when we walked in and we realized everything is, sure, the furniture is a little bit old, and then can always do with a fresh coat of paint, but we knew the people there are just
experienced, and they know, and they get stuck in.
At one stage, this is the closest that we ever got to losing Ruben. That was in 2019 in January. He got sepsis, he got a really bad chest infection, he got pneumonia, he got a few other issues as well. And his blood also reacted to a blood transfusion that he got.
Sure.
We actually got really, really close to losing him. And he had to be put into an ICU pediatric ward, and he had to be sedated. And seeing your child going into sedation and seeing his oxygen saturation just drop. And you can actually see the doctor, she said to us, listen, we have to take control of the situation now, so we have to sedate him. If he goes on like this, you are not going to have a son in the morning. So he got sedated, and it was touch and go at one stage. I mean, his one oncologist, she came to, off time, she came around and just to check on him. And we didn't see her stand behind us, and she saw the x-ray of his chest, and she just went like this. And when you see a doctor go like this and their eyes well up, then you realize it's getting real now. I think that's the scariest that we ever were. Most scared we ever were in that situation. And seeing your child lying there helpless and fighting for his life, that is the worst. No one can ever prepare for that. But again, the doctor that we had and the team that she had around her was amazing. The ward, it looks like Grey's Anatomy, the ICU unit at Red Cross. Everything, I mean, the doctors have got these massive screens everywhere. Everything is connected. My sister, who's an ICU nurse, like I said earlier, I took photos of the drips that he was on, and she said they don't even have that at a private hospital where she works. The paperwork to get those kind of medications, released it takes forever. So she just said, no, they know what they're doing. It's amazing. So then we also knew, righty, things are looking up. Okay. But that was a scary few days, I must say. It was quite scary. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's not fun. And your husband had to continue working, and obviously Ruan's going to school still, and everyone's supporting him at school, and you got such support from the school. And you mentioned a WhatsApp group, I think, as well, that people delivered food and support and vouchers to you. Like, obviously, the way you didn't need to think, okay, I need, I don't know, manual, or you were fine, but I mean, I forgot to go to the ATM on my way here this morning or last week, or so tell us about.
So what happened was, obviously our grandparents, our parents were fantastic. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my mum as well, they were just fantastic. They just jumped in, no questions asked. Nothing was ever too big enough to ask. Grateful beyond words for the support that we got from them, and that they actually live nearby to support us. That, I think, for them as well, being able to help when we were helpless. I think for a grandparent, I think that is probably the most useful that you can ever feel in your life. So what happened was, at school, some of the mums, they decided to create a care group for Ruben and for us as a family. And while Ruben and I, when we were in the transplant unit at Rondebosch Medical Center, every night, every evening, every weeknight evening, a hot meal would be delivered at our house. Just delivered, here we go. And I think that just put my mind at ease as well, knowing that my two boys at home, that they've got, someone looking after them, and it just, one less thing to worry about. And I think that's half the support as well, is just give people one less thing to worry about. I mean, that is an amazing gesture, and grateful beyond words for that.
In fact, if you can start it amongst your neighbors, I know that when someone passes in our community or someone's ill or been in hospital, that the ladies get together and make a meal, a dinner or a meal, so that you don't have to worry about that. So little
Yeah.
things like people, and you also said that you had an experience where everyone's like, oh yeah, call me if you need anything, whatever. And
Yeah, that's such a natural reaction to say to
mm,
someone who's going through a bad time, please shout if you need me. But I think most of us, we are either too proud or too stubborn to stick up your hand and say, listen, I need help. I think that's a big it's almost, yeah, it's like a barrier that we all put up just to know we're okay, we don't need help, we're doing fine. But meanwhile, you're actually really struggling. You just, yeah. But I think pride gets it in the way of just asking for help freely when you really want to. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think that's a
Yeah,
big,
you said you were quite blessed with financial
yeah.
help. So I see that again, joking atheist, I said, was there a GoFundMe to help with the expenses? But you sort of, I mean, it was mostly government.
Yeah. So although we went government, we still had our medical aid involved. So we hardly paid for anything out of our own pocket because our medical aid covered it. Thank goodness.
Oh,
We also did not go the GoFundMe route. Um, yeah, I think luckily we were in a position that we didn't have to. Um, yeah, my husband's got a corporate job, and they were fantastic throughout our journey as well. Very supportive, very sympathetic as well. Um, yeah, so we were in a very fortunate position that that was never an issue for us. And also, in that time, my domestic lady, she got ill as well. So my mom gifted us cleaning services once a week, so we had one less thing to worry about. So
sure.
yeah, so that was quite cool as well. But yeah, no, we didn't do the GoFundMe route. We didn't, like I said earlier, we didn't do the whole Facebook page to create awareness around him. Yeah, we preferred to keep the whole thing initially very private. Yeah, just to have more control over what is being posted out there. So, and that was the dishes we decided on. Yeah.
No, very, very cool. And I think, like you mentioned, while you were in hospital, there were people that did come there that weren't as fortunate.
Yeah.
And I think if people, so often you think, oh, well, what am I going to give to? Am I going to give to this charity or that charity or this thing? And I think maybe something like this where you can contact a hospital and you can even talk about the another person that gave a lot with
Yeah.
backpacks.
Yeah, so one of my clients, they're actually expats from Texas, so they come to South Africa every now and again, and then I take their family photos, and people would ask me always, "What can we do for you?" And I was like, "I'm surrounded by people who don't have a lot, who have very little, who often arrive at hospital with the clothes on their backs and a very old pair of pluckies and a toothbrush. That's it." So I would always say to them, listen, I can give you the contact name of the ward matron, and she will let you know what the needs of the parents are or of the children are. Yeah, being a government hospital, the parents don't get food in the wards. Only the children do, which you can understand. So these amazing clients of mine, I said to them, listen, the children come there with nothing to stimulate them. So they decided, I think they made 40 backpacks, little kiddie backpacks with monomies in, arts and craft books, a reading book, and even a nice mug and instant coffee in there for the moms who it's usually the moms who stay with the kids. So she made up 40 of these little backpacks, and she said, right, there we go, distribute them as you see fit. And I just gave them all to the matron, and I said to her, here we go, here's a gift from Texas. And And I could see I didn't want to get involved with it because I didn't want people seeing me being the fairy godmother, handing out gifts and stuff. So I could just see, the children's faces just light up when they got a little something, a backpack that's for them, and the mum when she got her cup with that's for her. So I think that was such a lovely gesture as well.
Yeah.
Really, really special.
I think people. I remember when I had my son in a state hospital, and there were also people who had nothing. And my mom walked in there with a load of stuff from some boutique or some, not an average store. And she actually gave this woman a blankie from the group, because there were 3 in a pack. And she gave, and when I came out of hospital, I wanted to start my NGO, and I wanted to provide sort of packages to government hospitals and all this sort of thing. And of course, as your life continues, you sort of forget about it. But it is a dream of mine to recognize that often people go to hospitals unexpectedly. You have a heart attack, you didn't plan it, or something happens to you, and you literally walk in there with nothing. Not a thing.
Absolutely nothing. And
Not
we
even a not even and I've discussed it also, other little packages and things. And so, and was there any time that you felt incredibly, I mean, I know I think in the beginning, did you feel guilty? Was there the blame game? Were you feeling, obviously your fears were just like colossal?
Yeah. I must say, both my husband and I, we never once tried to, pinpoint what did we do wrong, what could we have done different to change what happened where Ruben finds himself now. I don't think we ever felt sorry for ourselves, although I must say I did feel sorry for myself just before we went into the transplant unit. I think it was a weekend before we had to go, and I was just desperate for some normal time with friends, to get out the house a little bit. And I was sending my friends, hi, what you guys doing this weekend? Oh, we're going away. It's like, oh, okay. Next friend, want to meet up for a coffee? Already got plans. And then that weekend, it kind of hit me really hard that we became those people with a sick kid. And that was quite a realization that set in really, really hard. That was, I think, apart from Ruben being in the ICU ward, that weekend before we had to go back into isolation ward, that was really, really tough. And but you get over it quite quickly. You have to. And that's another thing people often ask, how do you do it? How do you stay focused, and how do you stay so positive when your world is probably falling around you? And when you're in that position, you don't have a choice. You absolutely don't. You're going to crumble and feel sorry for yourself all the time, or you're going to pick up your boots and just say, right, how do we beat this? This is not going to get me down. We're going to go guns blazing, and we are going to beat this. And I think we had that attitude from the from the start. We didn't let too much get us down, and we just decided, balls to the wall with this. We're going to do it.
Well done. And I see, I think your sister's on, Nicole Kuntz. Yes.
Yeah.
The strongest family, blessed to have an amazing big sister like you.
Love you, Pooh. We call each other as in Pooh Bear, not the other Pooh. Yeah.
Okay, so the school was so supportive. Yes. And I mean, little Ruan, he was, with his big brother, keeping things going. Yes, incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I must just say, his teacher that he had in grade 3, I'm going to say her name, Miss Adele. She was just fantastic. Not a week would go by that we didn't have either a video call with his classmates, or where she would, send us homework and things to do, not expecting much in return, but she would keep him in the loop with what's happening in the class and those kind of things. She was just fantastic. And he's grade 1, the teacher that he had when he was in grade 1, she took it upon herself to help us homeschool him when he was okay to have people come to the house again. And she was there every week. He pretty much did grade 3 in a month, learning all the different mathematical methods, learning cursive writing. He just breezed through it, because I think by then he was hungry to get back into it and get back to school, missing his mates, just, getting normal again. And those two women, Emmy and Adele, they were just fantastic. Selflessly, they just went for it. And yeah,
Sure.
big part.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Big award. Big
Absolutely.
award.
No, definitely.
No, it's so incredible, the true heroes you find in society. And I think we're so wrapped in our own little that you don't even think for 1 minute that the person standing in front of you in the line might be going through something like this.
Absolutely.
And just because you're having a shitty day and you want to mirror this shitty day on someone else, you have no idea what goes on in their lives. And it's I always try and, no matter, I don't know, I'm not perfect, but
None of us are.
no, it's just, I don't know, try and do what you can when you can. And I think something like organizations like the Red Cross Children's Hospital, CHOC, I think there's also Reach for a Dream.
Reach for a Dream was fantastic. Ruben got a dream come true, and that was fantastic. He got a race day at Kyalami here.
Oh,
and he got 3 laps in a super cool Ferrari, California.
wow.
That was fantastic. And his little face, it was like Christmas. He just lit up like a Christmas tree. It was fantastic. that day just, was amazing. I mean, they went all out for us. We got a tour of the Ferrari showroom in the waterfront. Got to see how people choose their Ferraris, how they customize the seats, how they choose their steering wheels, what leather they want, what's, everything, what wheels they want.
Colored buttons.
Oh, goodness. They even started the engine. Oh, my word. That was something else.
So he obviously watches F1.
Not really, no.
Really?
He loves cars. He's more into the technical side of cars. He can name you any car. I think one of the first sounds that he could make was not what sound does a cat make, what sound does a cow make, what sound does a car make. That was his first sound. So he loves his cars.
Oh, wonderful.
That was a real treat for him. And Reach for a Dream they were just fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And interesting, again, our wise joking atheist says here, the fear of the parent is the nightmare of the child. And I think and it's so, I've seen it. This weekend look at the horses and the ponies, and one of the parents got really scared at one point for their child with something they were doing. And I said, the only fear you're doing by being fearful, because kids look up to us and we're the ones who are supposed to be in control. We're the ones who are supposed to be on top of things. When we let it all crumble, then they feel they've got nobody. Like there's no one strong enough. And I think I was listening to another YouTuber earlier, and they were talking about parents who fight after a divorce and custody and things like that.
Yeah.
By doing that, by putting the other parent down in a way, you're taking away from that child, because a child is both parts of those two people, and I think attitude, like everyone said, and just, it's incredible. The amazing things that can happen from having the right attitude. And
that's part of the battle.
Yeah. And your photography, I want to ask you, because I thought about this. Like, I think because for people who don't know, Tracy's been on my show before to talk about her photography that she does with maternity journey and birthing, right? She does birth photography. Now, did you start the birthing photography journey before this experience or after?
Before, yeah, way before, yeah. So I think what also helped us a lot is that love hospitals. I'm very comfortable around hospitals. The smell doesn't put me off. It doesn't offend me. I don't mind being in hospitals at all. So I think that helped me a lot, that I wasn't scared when I walked into a ward. Because, I mean, I go into theatre quite often. I see, crazy things sometimes. So a hospital is kind of my happy place in a weird way. But so,
Yeah, you and I have a thing in common there. I know it sounds crazy, but
yeah, some people may get it. Some people will just think I'm crazy, but I am not scared of a hospital at all. Yeah. So I did start my birth photography journey way before Ruben got sick. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Do you think it, in a way, I don't know, I sort of feel that some things are, I don't know, it's a path, it's a
Yeah.
led path. It's things that we pick up along the way that prepare us for
Oh, absolutely.
this sort of a event, even though I'm not saying you have to go through hell to experience heaven or whatever. It just, but and I mean, so what's fascinating, so Ruan, who's the younger brother, got stem cells. So that's a process where they
Yeah.
have to harvest the stem cells from Ruan.
Yes. So everybody thinks before we started this cancer journey, I always thought, when you do a stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant, they actually take some of your bone marrow out and they put it in someone else. Nothing like that. It actually just looks like a blood transfusion. It looks like Ruan donated blood and Ruben received the blood. So for that process, we had to go to a different hospital. Just opposite the road from Red Cross is a hospital called Rondebosch Medical Center. And there is a professor there who runs a transplant unit, a fantastic, high-tech, amazing ward with very, very strict rules and protocols. So Ruben got a last chemo there to pretty much wipe out his white blood cells. So that means he has
No
got
defense.
nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. He's a deer in the headlights waiting for a truck. So that was quite intimidating. That was quite scary. But we, stick to the rules. The rules are there to literally save your life. So we obviously we did that. And yeah, that was 4 weeks in the isolation ward. But he just flew. He's just skipped through it. He was just amazing. We also it was quite isolating. You're not allowed to really go out much. You're not allowed to see friends or receive visitors. Yeah, that was quite lonely before the whole COVID thing, and then being in isolation at home. That was way before that, so that was quite something else. Living in scrubs. As soon as you enter the ward, you're in scrubs. So yeah, you get comfortable pretty quickly. You're not allowed, for instance, in the isolation ward or the transplant ward, you're not allowed to have fresh fruit, salads. Everything has to be cooked to death, just to make sure that no spores or anything enter the atmosphere. Oh, hello, here's my cat. There we go.
Oh. Hello, kitty.
Yes, they do that, don't they?
They do. They want just enough attention. Like, I exist still. I know you're doing something important, but I'm here.
Yeah, there we go. Don't care. Anyway, so that was kind of intimidating as well. And also everything that we brought in, even if it was a laptop or an iPad or crayons, everything had to be sanitized. And now this is before COVID. So this is like, oh my goodness, this is serious. We have to sanitize everything. Ruben wanted only one little small teddy bear with him. We had to sterilize it with steam just to make sure no nasties came in. So that's how serious having a child with zero defense, zero immunity, zero white blood count, how serious it is. So yeah, that's what we had to do.
And how many children, I mean, you did mention that obviously some children didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you become close to the families and
yeah. And I'm in touch with some of them as well. But I must say, the first little roommate that we lost, little Zuhair, that hit us hard. The week before he passed away, he was still, walking around the hospital. He still came in for his checkups, his regular blood tests, just to see if everything's okay. And then he had a nasty fall, and then somehow he got pneumonia, and he got taken up a few days later, and then he didn't make it. And I'm still in contact with his mum, who's a remarkable woman. She's just incredible. And I must say, when I look back at when I started out on this journey, I looked up to her quite a bit, because she was just amazingly strong, a beautiful, beautiful, strong woman. And I took a lot from her, how to not just conduct myself in hospital, but how to just be with your child. I learned a lot from her. But losing your first little roommate, nothing can prepare you for that. That is harsh. And to see a family go through that, it is also terrible. Yeah,
did Ruben have to go for some sort of therapy and counseling and sort of dealing with all the?
Yeah, we did last year, exactly before COVID. He did have a little bit of an anger issue, and also because he associated me with being sick. And it is what it is. Nothing you can do.
Mom.
Yeah. So lucky me. So yeah, he did have a little bit of anger management issues, but we got in touch with a really nice therapist, and just by talking to him, he realized he's going to be okay. And although his body was violated, with blood tests and all that, and the prodding and prodding, and he does remember quite a bit of things from being, even when he was sedated in ICU. He obviously, there's a bit of guilt, because he kind of disrupted our household for a while. But yeah, I think he's going to be okay. He's got a little bit of postpartum, depression. I forgot the word now.
What's it? Post-traumatic.
Yeah, PTSD. There we go. There's so many acronyms in this place.
Yeah.
A little bit of PTSD, but he is, every day is a step in the right direction, and he is doing so well at the moment. I'm almost tempted to say it's behind him now. What he has gone through it's behind him now. Yeah. Yeah. And he's remarkable.
Hey,
I also, yeah. Go ahead.
Would you think of would you think of writing a book? Would you think of sort of, or even a children's book? Would he think of maybe writing a children's book from his perspective? Maybe.
I think for his sake, he needs to move on from this. He needs to put this chapter behind him. And I think he's still maybe a little bit young to get involved with, or even trying to inspire and mentor other kids going through this. He's maybe a little bit young. And I think the progress that we made with his therapy, and if we get him involved with this now, it may just set him back a little bit. So I think when he's older and it's more on his terms, rather than trying, because he's a people pleaser on top of everything as well.
Sure.
It may be a bit too much to ask from him at this moment. We did think about it, but I think it's a bit too soon for him. He needs to close that chapter, be a kid for a while, and maybe when he's older, when he in his own mind can put things in order and make sense of it in his, from his own experience, that is definitely something that I think would help him, and not just him, but other kids as well, and parents. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I think for anyone who watches this, to think about what goes on in hospitals. And I mean, I see the Joking Atheist also says the way to see a hospital is as follows. There are more people recovering in hospital than actually dying.
Oh, absolutely.
And when it comes to maybe wanting to do something better, maybe contact those organizations that help with children, with help with families that are struggling with this. Even if you happen to be a therapist, or you have means and they need things, that you can always donate clothes. You can always
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
if you have an extra Uber
Okay.
voucher or a phone or who knows, there's always someone who could use it. And I think especially, and I mean, anyone who's been sick, the emotional drain on family members also takes its toll because they might be smiling, but it's
Yeah,
exhausting. I
it
mean,
is.
you said if you slept 2 hours a night, it was a lot,
Yeah.
you know.
When Ruben received, I think it was his third round of chemotherapy, there was a possibility that this can all cause ulcers on his eyeball. So every 2 to 3 hours, he would have to get eye drops in his eyes to prevent these ulcers from forming. So I think for about 2 weeks, he had to give this. I did not sleep for more than 3 hours at a time.
Sure. Wow.
And yeah, that was quite something. But you somehow you find the strength to just carry on and just pull through it. Because I think I also said to Ruben at one stage he was a little bit down and depressed, and I said to him, "Listen, so far our survival rate is pretty good, and every bad day that we tick that we've survived is one less to look forward to in the future. It's one less that we have to survive in future." And every day after, if it was a good day or a bad day, we would check in and say, "Hey, Ruben, was it a good day?" And he would say, "Yeah, it was okay." Then I said, "Tick, one good day done." If it was a bad day, he'd say, "Yeah, today was not great." So we would say, "Tick, one bad day done, one less."
One less bad day. I
Yeah.
see Anne Marie says you're an inspiration, my friend. So she's watching.
Love
And
you,
then,
Anne.
and also, look, if you haven't got financial means or time, or, I think also it's so important to remember these places need blood. They need stem cells. If you're not
Yeah.
squeamish, put yourself on an organ transplant list if it's not against your
Absolutely.
religion, or donate platelets. I got platelets when my son was born.
Yeah.
I was literally, they put a drip in me and I was like, oh my God, someone just stabbed me. Um,
Yeah.
so if it wasn't for that, yeah.
I think also when people think of donating blood, you think, okay, someone was in a car accident and they are bleeding out and they need to get blood. It's also mostly for people in cancer wards who need white blood cells, platelets, blood transfusions. It's those kind of things that save lives. Absolutely. And people would always ask me, how can we help? Just put yourself on an organ donor list, donate your blood. They know what to do with it. And it is the gift of life. Absolutely. And I cannot repeat that more often. It is because I've seen it with my own eyes, and also with children. Ruben was only allowed to get platelets from children or people under the age of 22. So if the blood bank was empty, they didn't have his either blood or his platelets, they would be able to call on people to say, "Listen, we need your blood or we need your platelets, go and donate, and we will filter it and clean it up, and he will have it within a few hours." That's how good the blood banks are in South Africa.
Sure.
And they need every drop they can get.
Sure. That's incredible. Yeah. All right. Well, Tracy, I'm in awe and inspired, and I think, wow, like, sure, yeah, wow, what an amazing woman you are. And your little boys are so strong, and your family.
Yeah.
And hopefully this story inspires someone to not just think, oh, I'm having such a bad day because my car broke down. Or whatever it is that they're dealing with, that so many of us deal with on a daily basis. And yeah, you're an inspiration, like your friend said. And thank you everybody for joining us. And yeah, I hope this puts things in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you. All
Thanks,
right,
Ruth.
everybody. Stay on the line. Cheers to the viewers. TTFN, everybody. Bye.